The chase on the highway. The policeman's work is too hard.
Hyundai SUV that, according to the Illinois State Police Dispatch, is wanted for armed robbery earlier this day. This pursuit we heard on the Eastburn started off the Bishop Ford Freeway. That's 94. Went back and forth in Sibley, went down to the south suburbs, almost a collision about 3 minutes ago where this vehicle, as you can see, an extremely high rate of speed, turned around in Glenwood Dyer Road. Currently, this is northbound 394. And we are about a mile before I-80. This vehicle, I would say at this point, is exceeding about 100 miles an hour. There's one, Max is going to stay with the vehicle here, so what you cannot see is behind it is the Illinois State Police in several suburbs that are coming up on this as well. Several times they were almost able to get to this vehicle, haven't been able to do it as of yet. Behind this vehicle, there are probably about a dozen squads with their lights flashing. So now we're northbound on 394. There's a lot of interchanges here where this vehicle could go several directions. If they go east, they go towards Indiana. If they go west, they'll head towards the Tri-State Tollway, or they may continue northbound into the city, and it looks like that's their plan right now. So this has been ongoing again. This is a Hyundai, and they're saying from this point that this vehicle was wanted for armed robbery. Now it's heading towards the city, so we're northbound 394. As you can see, driving erratically here. This is the Bishop Ford. This is the beginning of the Bishop Ford Freeway, northbound as we get up towards about 167th Street. Again, a lot of vehicles behind this. This vehicle will eventually maybe head up towards the city, and a whole network is waiting for them. What typically happens here is the state police will notify other suburbs. For example, this is heading up towards Dalton, Calumet City. Those suburbs may enact their people here to try to catch this vehicle ahead. And again, that's almost happened. There was almost a collision down in Lansing near Cottage Grove, down about Glenwood Lansing Road. Again, this vehicle wanted for armed robbery. They did say in the dispatch they believe there are 2 people inside and they're armed, and they're heading northbound here in the Bishop Ford, right around 159th Street.
And now we are clearly in rush hour too, Mike, and the traffic is getting heavier even as we've been watching this car weaving its way through. He's behind someone right now, just wove his way in front of a semi and is going along the shoulder. So this is clearly an extremely dangerous situation, particularly with people being armed. Now, as they get closer to this difficult traffic situation, I know every jurisdiction may have a different rule about a chase. What do you know about what we're dealing with, at least specifically right now, as it deals with the Illinois State Police, since they have jurisdiction on the interstate?
That is a solid point, Marion. So now we're northbound at Sibley Boulevard. City limits are about a mile and a half away. So once this vehicle were to cross over the Cal-Sag, it is technically in the city of Chicago. I can tell you this, though, I'm looking up ahead now, and I see a lot of other vehicles. And again, we don't want to lose the vehicle. This is not an easy shot to keep for our camera person, Max, here, but a lot of squads are up ahead as well. Typically, in this case, Burbs, they will continue to pursue. The city of Chicago doesn't often pursue because they are worried and have had issues before where people not involved in the pursuit have been hit either by the police or by the pursued vehicle, causing damages. So again, let's resum all this up for you. This has been going up and down the Bishop Ford. We picked it up here around 147th in the Bishop Ford. It went all the way down south to Lansing. This vehicle, a Hyundai, wanted for armed robbery, according to dispatch. And again, this is what we call the Steel Bridge here. So now we are northbound in the city limits here, just crossed into the city limits. A lot of troopers here seem to be heading northbound after this vehicle, and now we're northbound of the Bishop Ford. That's I-94 near 130th. You've only got about 3 ramps where you can get off here before you actually get into the Dan Ryan Expressway, and there'll be a lot more traffic there. So northbound right now on the Bishop Ford, right around 130th, we can see 2 state troopers that are trailing at about a half a mile. But again, this vehicle has been exceeding on several occasions over 100 miles an hour, driving very erratically. You can see tailgating that SUV that's in the left lane, weaving from the left lane to the right lane, trying to make its way through. So now we're northbound on the 130th, and again, we'll see if they keep pursuing here as this vehicle enters into the Chicago city limits.
And the traffic is getting heavier and heavier, which of course makes this a lot more dangerous. this. He has come close several times and is weaving in and out of some of these semi-tractor trailers, heavy duty tailgating, and clearly going very, very quickly. That's got to be the major concern right
Did
now.
he exit?
I think that might have been
Yeah,
the
he
exit.
just
He took the
exited.
right. Yeah, you're saying you got him right there.
Right.
You
So
see
we're
right there's the
now
pursuit.
we're heading at 130th Street, and here comes. This will be on a westbound 130th Street.
So now we're in the city of Chicago, on the streets of Chicago.
Right. So this is the far southern limit of the city of Chicago. The 130th Street. If you go about a mile south of here, that's where the CalSag is. That is the southern limit of the city of Chicago. The vehicle is now westbound at 130th, heading from the Bishop Ford. Will eventually head towards Indiana. Now, about a mile ahead here is a very dangerous turn where you have to go sharp, basically westbound to Indiana, and then you go north. That is an area that is normally stopped up and a difficult turn, so something might come to a head here near 130.
Speed bumps. Makes it even more frightening. I don't know. I hope
Right.
people are watching, or they can alert people. And that's one of those things. There's no way for drivers and residents necessarily, unless they're watching television right now, to know what's going through their neighborhoods, and other drivers as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, and I think these speed bumps are here because we're off of State Street here, and again, now the vehicle is heading eastbound, but those speed bumps are there because a lot of people take those as alternates for the Dan Ryan and tend to exceed the speed limit there because they think, well, I want to save time getting off the Dan Ryan. Now the vehicle heading eastbound here, and I believe we're on around 83rd Street and trying to stay with this. I'm not sure, and I was looking behind here when we're trying to figure this out. I'm trying to figure out if the state police or the people have been pursuing even know where this vehicle still is. They may have lost him because I'm trying to look behind as we stay with the vehicle, which I believe is east and around 83rd Street, and they may have lost the vehicle. So if anybody's listening in, this looks like east on 83rd Street. We're about a block or two from Martin Luther King, which is 400 east here. Again, that vehicle bailed off the Dan Ryan, and I believe this is coming up on MLK now and went eastbound across MLK. So that was Martin Luther King here, and eastbound, I believe, again, this is 83rd Street. And again, Marion, as you were talking about, this is a residential area where speed limits are about 20 or 25 miles an hour. You've got a stop sign almost at every light here. Now the vehicle going northbound, so we're at about 600 east here, northbound, and a very residential area, and now we're parked. So the vehicle has pulled in front of a home here. We're about 2 blocks east of Martin Luther King here, and we're north of 83rd Street. Looks like somebody got out of the vehicle. What's that, Max? The cameraman's talking. Okay, so we've got one person that got out of the car that's behind that tree there, and we see in the center, and then one person that is still in the car. And we can just see what happens here, but what we don't see, and we talked about this before because we are in the city of Chicago, we didn't see those lights that we saw all throughout the expressway. We've been very focused on the Hyundai here that, again, was wanted for armed robbery. So the vehicle is parked here, and again, we're about 2 blocks east of Martin Luther King. Got back in the car here now, and just north of 83rd Street. And again, don't see any police moving in at this time. Let's see if the vehicle stays here or continues to move on.
Allison Rosati with Stefan Holt here. We want to thank Marion and Alex for their coverage. This is very surprising, especially after the high speed that this car was traveling at with the armed suspects inside, that they would take time to park. Do you have any eye on any type of law enforcement nearby, or is this pursuit over?
So the lights that we saw flashing on the expressway, and again, if you're just joining us here, as the vehicle parks again, this one up and down 394 and up and down the Bishop Ford Freeway, there were lights the whole time. Those lights appear to be gone. Now there is a vehicle, let me count my streets here, that's coming off of 83rd Street as there's 2 people inside this vehicle. Get out there on the sidewalk. There are squads that are starting to come west on 83rd Street. So we are, let's see, I think we're about a block east of Martin Luther King. I do see squads, and again, we can't show you that shot here because
Now they're splitting up. One person's going one direction, the other's going in the other.
right, one
other
person's
way.
gone in different directions there. There are squads moving in. So we're in an apartment complex here.
Again, we've been holding
And
our
we
breath
just saw
watching
something
this
being thrown
vehicle.
over the fence too, yeah.
And now,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I hope that people who are watching in that neighborhood there can find a way to stay sheltered, since we do know, as you've been reporting, Mike Lorber, that these two are armed. And they are suspects in an armed robbery from
That's what they
earlier
pursued.
today.
I'm going to ask you, you can see there's a squad that just went right by him right now. And he threw something on the ground. Nick, if you can hear me, our pilot, has the Chicago Police Department helicopter, are they up flying over this? So the Chicago Police helicopter has been flying about this as well, and we've been so focused on these people that have been winded. That is important because they have the same perspective we do, which means that they, from the air, can direct the Chicago Police Department down below here to where these people are. So this is the man that we saw get out of the vehicle. Again, this was a Hyundai that was wanted for armed robbery. The Illinois State Police Network, and there you go. There's a squad pulling up right now.
Oh.
And let's see if we have a foot chase here. I believe we're on 83rd Street, and I believe somebody is about to be taken into custody.
Remarkable, walking so casually down the street, it looked like they were on a cell phone, and that Illinois State Police car just rolled up real fast and got out and told them to get back onto the sidewalk there. I'm watching another officer approach there.
I have to say, I was
So this has come to an end.
concerned because of the fact that there was an armed situation, that there might have been somewhat of resistance or a shootout. So thank God this appears to be ending peacefully with the suspect taken into custody.
Right, I believe we are 83rd Street and Martin Luther King, 83rd and King Drive. So again, it looks like we're in custody.
Mike, just to confirm, we saw two people get out of that vehicle. This was the one gentleman who turned to the right of the camera. The other person went left. Do we have any idea on what happened to that person?
We don't. And Max, I'm going to ask my camera person because Max was following as well. We saw the other person go in the other direction, eastbound. That was off of 83rd Street. That's correct. All right, so just to sum all of this up very quickly, this pursuit went on for about 30 or 40 minutes. It was off of the Bishop Ford I-94, went all the way south to Lansing near about 183rd Street, Glenwood Dyer, came back north on 394, all the way into about 127th Street, across to I-57 into the city, bailed off the Dan Ryan at about 83rd and went residential. Police lost the vehicles after a while. They parked, then went north on around 83rd Street, got out of the parked vehicle. One person inside heading westbound. That's the person that's been taken into custody. Looks like a man at this point. Another person went eastbound, and that person, we don't see any other squads eastbound, but they'll probably still look for that person there. This was a Hyundai that was wanted for armed robbery. One person is in custody here after a long pursuit at 83rd and King Drive. And again, we've talked about it over and over again. We thought there may be a collision. This vehicle several times driving dangerously over 100 miles per hour. No collision. A lot of Illinois State Police, Cook County Police, more squads are coming into the area here near 83rd and Martin Luther King Drive.
Well, nothing short of a miracle in the fact that high rate of speed in the police pursuit, there were no collisions, and even next to a school bus. I don't know about you, but I was holding my breath when it went around the school bus.
Too close for comfort.
Nice job, Mike Lorber and your crew up there in Sky 5 following this pursuit and what appears to be an arrest, and we're not sure about the second person that was in that vehicle, if that person has been apprehended.
Okay, we'll try and stay on top of this. Mike
I
Lorber.
would guess that's why we've got police heading east from here. We're going to keep an eye on that for you. We'll get back to you if we see the police moving in on that second person.
Okay, Mike Lorber in Sky 5. We appreciate the coverage of this high-speed chase through the south side of Chicago right now. Mike, thank you so much.